Yeah, but I mean, it's an adorable piece of furniture. It has a great shape to it. Like, it's not one that deserves to just be forgotten. But I do have to admit that it had a life before me.
Oh, it lived.
Yeah, it lived. Like,
oh,
it probably
it lived.
Did some partying. Like, saw some long
It lived
nights.
its best life, day by day.
Maybe it was like, a groupie with some 80s rock bands for a while.
What?
Yeah, I'm just guessing.
Oh.
I'm just speculating. Got a little fuzz on there that I was trying to pick out of my decoupage gel.
Well, Jill's a hoarder. She said she'd keep it.
Yeah.
She would have kept the piece.
I'll send it to you, Jill. Send me your address. Kidding. Kidding, because I won't let you be that much of a hoarder. All right, so, I mean, I don't just do a single pass of the brush, but you might also know that even when I'm brushing this, I brush in a single direction, and that's because it's got those fibers in the paper, and I don't want to be roughing them up. My goal is to get this as smooth as possible, so even if I kind of do multiple directions, I come back and I clean it up so it's all in. John's favorite band?
Oh my gosh.
One Direction. Got another fuzz on there. It's almost...
I think it was funny a few times, and it was funny before the pillow
It's always
thing.
Funny.
Yeah, no.
It never gets old.
I'm good.
Trust me, we're all
I'm
laughing.
good. Yeah, it's not a fun line.
We're laughing at you, not with you.
No, I'm used to it.
That's why you're tired of it.
I'm used to laughing at me.
All right, let's take a look at my mold and see what the status of that is. All right, and then I will touch up the edges of my drawer.
That doesn't look right.
It's a little late now. All right, so let's pop. This is the most satisfying part of making molds, is taking them out of the mold. So now I can tell this is done. I can feel that it's hardened. You can... Sean thinks it looks like a mustache. What do you guys think?
Well, it looks like a mustache with a monocle now. You only got one circle done.
I do have a monocle.
Yeah.
It does.
What is this, Monopoly?
I should have done the other one. Shoot. All right, it's a monocle.
Where's your top hat?
Okay, so I can flex my silicone around the edges of that mold and it pops right out. And the resin gives me a really perfect, flawless casting. Super clean casting of that Swedish posy mold. And let me show you guys what I plan to use this on. I'm going to go ahead and pop out this little medallion too. And I don't think I'm going to use this on here.
You want to leave that flat? It's on there.
Is it really bothering you that
It
much?
is.
Yeah. So I just have this little button here. And I don't think I'm going to use this, but I will save this and I'll use it on another project. They never go to waste. Okay, but what I'm going to do on this particular mold is I'm going to go ahead and paint this. My main body color that I have on here, actually, you know what, I'm going to do one thing. Can you grab me my drill gun?
That's me
right
doing
there.
one thing.
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh, it's
And
so
my,
easy to get
my
to.
main body color on here is Vintage Duck Egg from Annie Sloan. So I'm going to go ahead and use that as my main color. But what I plan to do with these is they're going to back my hardware. So I'm going to put like a little dainty knob in the center of here. And what I want to do first, while this is nice and soft, is I'm going to go ahead and drill out the center of this flower. So it's got a little button on the center there, and I'm just going to drill it out. And I do it while they're nice and soft.
I like that you measured it just for accuracy.
Well, it's pretty hard to get this wrong because I can see where the center is. I'm going to go ahead and set this down so that I don't drill into my hand.
Hold on while I pause everything.
I only drill into my hand when I'm off camera, not on camera. I don't want you guys to have record that I do that. Alright, so I'm going to find the center and try to hold this roughly still.
Hey, sweetie, I need to go use the house phone.
Uh-oh. Okay. Alright. And so I go lightly at my first drill. I go really nice and slow, and then now that I have my my position marked, I can go ahead and go a little bit faster. Okay, and that drilled out the center. So now I will be able to put a knob in here. And how I'm going to find my position on my drawer is I can see a little bit through my paper where my hardware hole is. And I'll line this up with my hardware hole with that hole, and that will be my hardware backing. So let's go ahead and put a little bit of paint on here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and use the Cambrian blue. It's a little bit cooler of a blue. So I'm going to pop the lid. This is Cambrian blue from Annie Sloan. Go ahead and stir this. So you guys, my transfer sticks from Redesign, I never throw away a transfer stick. I use them for paint stirrers. After I'm done with the transfer and I use it, I still save those transfer sticks and they become paint stirrers. You can use them for all kinds of things. So save your transfer sticks too. Okay, so this is the color of Cambrian blue. Really pretty, nice, cool blue. And you can see how it matches really nicely with the background on this. So this is one of the colors in my paint finish. And then I'm going to take and I can just paint right onto. You can prime your molds if you like. I usually don't prime them unless I'm going to be adding glaze or something like that. The reason is because when you wipe glaze back, you have to wipe over the paint and it will tend to test your paint a little bit. So if I'm going to be glazing it, I will prime it first just so it can stand up to that wiping. In this case, I think these are going to be solid color. This will need 2 coats, so I'll let this dry and come back and give it another coat of paint. So there's several different ways. You guys have seen me add color to my molds using the mica powder, and that's when they're wet. But when I want it to match my background color, you can add any paint color over the top. Let me grab just a little knob so I can show you guys what this will look like. Just gonna grab a random knob. Yes, I do save all of my old knobs. All right, this is not the actual one I plan to use, but it'll just give you an idea how I would put this on here. So if I open this drawer back up, I can put the screw right through that hole, add a little bit of glue to the back of my mold. Whoops, pretend I didn't drop it on the floor. All right, and that will hold my backing in place. I would add a little bit of glue to that, and that's going to be decorative for my hardware. I'm going to need a little bit longer screw on these, but I do always have extra screws in my hardware stash, and then it'll have a little knob in the center there. Not these. These are just kind of ugly old knobs, but I'll pick something a little cuter, a little more dainty, and add those to the center. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. You guys want to work a little bit, let's come over here and we'll do this one more drawer that I have, and then I'll show you how I plan to decorate this molding here. So I'm going to pull this drawer out, try to not ruin my paint finish. Oh, I need to sand this mold a little bit more. Okay. Now this one, I am going to have to use a second sheet of paper. And I do plan on doing these top drawers here, so it's not a big deal. I will end up using 2 pieces because I've also done the sides on this already. It'll kind of wrap the entire furniture piece. And so I'm going to kind of find what I think would make sense for this if it has a pattern continuance. Looks like it might. I'm going to look for that first. See if I've got any sort of pattern that lines up so that my design continues. So I think where it makes the most sense is this corner here. Looks like it has the most consistency in my pattern. So I'm going to use this corner. Go ahead and put my decoupage gel on here. There's a light sanding to it. So I gave it a light sanding just because I'm going to lay that paper over top, and I like it to be as smooth as possible, and I just felt some little maybe dust had settled in my primer. And this is like I'm squeezing the last out of this container. Like that's dead empty. But I do save these containers and I use them for like paint mixes. If I'm mixing custom colors, I'll rinse this out and I can save it for projects with custom color mixes too. So like really nothing goes to waste. Packaging, my transfer sticks get used, everything has multiple purposes to it. All right, find that paper again. So have you guys ever used the Redesign papers? What do you guys think? Super easy to lay. Like if I wasn't on camera, I could do this entire furniture piece pretty quickly. I lost my sanding sponge somewhere. No, that's a gentle one. I want the
under the stool.
want the harsh one. There it is, under my stool. Okay, same thing. Let's get my nice clean edges on here. And this is a good one too, because this is a really nice flat surface. These drawers have no detail to them. They're just flat.
So, sorry to interrupt you. Back again to the epoxy. What did you use for your molds?
I use Amazing Casting Resin. So Amazing Casting Resin is also available from Redesign with Prima. They do carry the Amazing Casting Resin. It's made by Alumilite. Okay, and so I still have a whole bunch left. So this piece right here, I'll have more than enough to do this drawer, this center here, and then this one over to the side. I'm going to scrape the bottom of this and see how much of this decoupage gel I could get out, and even what's in my brush. Otherwise, I'm to the point where I need to open a new one. It does have a seal on it. All right, let me go ahead and unseal this new container. That actually went further than I thought. I was already scraping the bottom when I came on camera.
Yeah, you were.
So this is a brand new container. It does have a little seal on it that just keeps it from drying out. And when you take the seal off, it's got some of the decoupage gel on the back of it. The other thing I want to say about this decoupage gel is don't let it dry in your brushes, because this stuff is sturdy. It's hardy, like it's going to hold up. And so if you let it dry in your brushes...
You got a big drip on the back side of it.
Well, that's okay, because I want it to go on my piece anyways. So make sure you wash your brushes out while they're nice and fresh, so that decoupage gel doesn't dry in them. I'm telling you, you'll regret it every time. Okay, give that a nice coat. Again, making sure I work it through that paper.
So when you have lines or creases in your paper, what do you use?
I actually did you guys notice I didn't do anything with those? They actually come out pretty well when you just put them, add the moisture over the top with the decoupage gel. If you feel like you need to though, you can iron them on a low heat. You just want to use a low heat because you can melt your decoupage paper. I would treat it like a gentle fabric. So you can iron it on a low heat. I've also just taken my heat gun, just my regular heat gun in my workspace, and you just add a little tiny bit of heat, and they just kind of, it's like steaming it. They just kind of melt out of the paper. So those are two options. If you do either one, you just want to make sure that you've got a low heat and you don't melt your paper. So I just painted that drawer top. This Cambrian blue is a really, really nice close match to the face of that. You'll notice my vintage duck egg is a little more green, but that's okay because I'm going to add some more paint treatment. So let me show you how I'm going to do some of this moldings around the edges. And I'm going to use a little bit of Annie Sloan Aubuchon blue, and we'll use the Cambrian also. So I'm going to take this Aubuchon. Let me go ahead and stir this also. Annie's paints store really nicely in the container. Some of these colors I've had for, I don't know, forever. And I'm going to use two different brushes for this because I'm just going to do a little bit of dry brushing. And I'm going to use, actually 3 brushes. I take that back. We'll use this guy too. I'm going to use this, which is just a cheap chip brush that's nice and frayed on the edges. And the reason it's frayed is because I use this with the textured finish. And I use salt wash texture medium, and I stippled this on, and it's really hard on your brushes, so just use a garbage throwaway brush like a chip brush. I'm going to use this, which is a skinnier natural bristle brush, and then I'm going to do some dry brushing with Annie Sloan's brush. These are my favorite brushes for dry brushing because they're nice and full, and they give you a really good texture. They pick up just the right amount of paint. And I'm going to get kind of up here underneath. So I'm going to start with a skinnier brush. I think I'm going to start with this guy here. I'm just going to take a little bit actually off my stir stick. And I'm going to kind of tap it off. I don't want a lot of paint. And I'm going to dry brush a little bit of that Aubuchon blue right up under that lip. And I'm going to kind of do some of these corners here too. And it picks up on all the texture in my paint finish. And I'm going to carry it down a little bit onto my furniture piece. just kind of right here in the corners. And I'm still just working off my paint stick because I really just want very little paint on my brush. I'm going to come right up here underneath that molding that I added. Okay, and I'm going to come do the same thing around here on the bottom of this piece of molding that I added. Very little paint on my brush, and it's just picking up some of the texture in my paint finish and the high points on the molds.
I would zoom in, but the clarity is going to be poor, so we're going to take it to another level here.
All right, Sean's going to try to come in and show you guys a little bit what I'm doing.
Except that, you know, it's a freaking landing strip of legs for this damn thing.
Yeah. Okay, so I just keep filling off my brush, and you can use a paper plate for this, just if you just fill your brush a little bit and then you want to lay it off. I have very little paint on my brush. If you look at the bristles, you really can't even see that anything's there. And I'm using a pretty small brush on this because these are smaller detail portions. And I'm just adding like a little bit of shading kind of around the edges of some of my moldings and the legs. Okay, so I did that. That is in the Avison blue, and I'm going to repeat it using the Cambrian blue. So let's use, I'm just going to take this packaging, and I'm going to use this like I would like a paper plate. Honestly, nothing goes to waste out here. If I'm working on a project.
Obviously, I see the carpet.
I dipped into my Cambrian blue. I'm just using the same brush, barely any paint on there, and I'm going to kind of lay it off on my packaging. And this is just going to kind of layer those different blues. Gives me some nice depth and dimension to the blue. So even though my background color isn't a perfect match, but some of my accents will. And then I'm going to tie in all those different shades of blue. 50 Shades of Blue. Is that's the movie? Yeah?
Yeah. It's the movie I'm not going to watch. Yes.
Don't pretend like you haven't seen it. All right, same thing. A little bit of that Cambrian blue. You can see how very little I'm putting on there. This is all in Annie's paints.
Sorry, you too.
And I just layered it on the same spots that I have that Avison blue.
You make it so easy to get in here.
Now I also want to do kind of around the edges of my paper, but it's got the wet decoupage gel on here still. They are compatible because they're both water-based. So you can sort of paint onto your paper as well. Just so that little bit of shading kind of carries onto those corners of my paper and matches with my furniture piece. Don't be afraid to kind of carry those paint colors onto your paint as well. Okay, so now I've got that little bit of blue layered in there. I'm going to make sure it matches my other side pretty closely. And then I'm going to take these are 2 shades of pink. These are the Art Alchemy waxes. These are from Redesign with Prima. They now come in tubes, but I have had these forever, and so I still have the old packaging when it was in tins. And these 2 colors, one is called Indian Pink, and one is called Sweet Rose. And let me show you these colors. So this is the Sweet Rose. It's a sort of nice soft pink, but you can see how it pulls in some of those background colors that are in the paper. And then the Indian Rose is a more bold pink. Okay, so my 2 shades of pink, 50 Shades of Pink now. And I'm going to use the Indian Pink first. And I'm just using, again, a cheap chip brush. Now, my wax is a little old because I've had it, again, for, I don't know, since 1982. Since this furniture piece was a groupie with 80s rock bands is when I got this wax. And I'm just sort of dry brushing it over some of those details, and it gets down a little bit into the crevices because I'm using a brush. Okay, I'm going to do it up top, and then I'm going to come down below and do it also, so my moldings match. You can do this with any colors. This paper has a lot of nice colors you can pull out of it. It has some greens, there's some yellowy greens, some cooler greens in there. It's got the blue background, there's some yellows, purples, very kind of springtime colors. Okay, so I dry brushed on the Indian pink, and then I'm going to take the sweet rose and I'm going to do this one with my finger. Because I'm just going to get some of these high points. And that kind of layers the waxes on my molds. So I've got the dry brushing of the paint and then the two different colors of waxes on there. Just makes my molds a little more interesting. And they're going to kind of frame out the paper that I put on the drawers. And then you can imagine I'll have those medallions that I'm going to cast with the resin for my hardware. And it's just going to be a really kind of sweet, like fun, whimsical furniture piece. All right. So that kind of finishes off, and then you can see over here, I've already done this side. It'll have these molds, which I need to put a second coat of paint on here. But it'll have my molds on there, and I just think it looks super cute. The different colors of the paint really tie into the background, so I've got all these different colors, and then it makes the vintage duck egg, which is a lighter shade, make more sense in there. So that Cambrian, Aubusson, vintage duck egg, and a little bit of Svenska is what I've used on here. All different blues from Annie Sloan, Svenska.
International.
So what do you guys think? So this is kind of the more finished look where I'm going. Imagine I've got some cute hardware on here. I'll have to find something a little cuter than these, which are gross. And I'll have a cute little knob on there, like something dainty, a little vintage glass knob would be really cute. And that'll kind of be my finished look where I'm going. So I gotta finish this one up. But you guys, I'm gonna pop off because that about wraps up everything I have to do with this project. So I'll be finishing this one up. This will be a video on my YouTube channel at Brush by Brandy on YouTube. If you guys want to catch this when it's all done, I'll put it all together for you guys and have a, the still photos will go up, and then I'll also have that tutorial that goes up on my YouTube channel. You guys check out the Swedish Posy collection from Annie Sloan and Redesign with Prima. And the Swedish Posy collection has the paper that we used on this piece. This adorable paper. Let me tell you guys the size on this because it's a nice good size too. This paper is 23 by 33. 23 by 33. There's some decimals in there too, but I'm going to spare you guys the pain of that. So 23 by 33, the paper, it's got a transfer to it. And I even thought about the transfer that I might take some pieces and just put them on the top. And transfers will take really well to texture, so I can put it right over my textured paint finish also. So we've got the paper, the transfer, and then of course the mold that I'm going to be using to back my hardware up. And this, the mustache, as Sean called it, the mustache, it is perfect for a hardware backing. Just drill out the centers. I did consider outlining this in the molds. Can I tell you something? I actually added these molds onto this furniture piece before I had this mold, before it even came out. So this would have been another option that would have been really cute to just put these little buttons up here. All right, you guys, so 3 things. A huge thank you to Annie Sloan for having me. A huge thank you to Redesign with Prima for having me. It's a super cute collection. This is available now at your local retailers. So you guys check this out. And I will be live on the Brush by Brandy Facebook page and my YouTube channel tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you guys want to see, I've got another project planned also with some Redesign with Prima accents on it that you guys will like, I think. And you guys, I'm gonna let you go. Everybody have a great week, and I'll talk to you later.